just to recap what we have been discussing past 2 days. First of all, I should say good morning. So, in case there are people who just are coming today, we have been talking about what we call Namthar Gosum, which is the 3 doors of liberation, which is explained in many, many different levels. And it's not just explained, it's also symbolized in many different levels, especially in the Tantrayana. Which is something you could also say sort of the core element of so-called Buddhadharma. At glance, it is kind of difficult to understand these 3. But if you are if you get used to it, to the language, its nuances, it's just I don't know, the logic, then it's not like unreachable. And as I've stressed this yesterday, it's really nothing sort of beyond your life. We are not talking about anything mythical or anything that is beyond what we have. But as I've been repeating this a lot, because of the language, because of the culture, it can sound very exotic and very religious even. Okay, I'm going to recap the first liberation one more time. And I'm going to come from a different angle. Okay, one maybe very good example is the concept of the middle of sky, in the middle of the sky. You know how it's, I can tell you in the middle of the sky, then you will all sort of accept. But if you contemplate, it is really an arbitrary statement. Like, which one is the middle? But it works for us. I can say in the middle of the sky. We can say this. Usually, it's above your head, just because you have a head. That's it. No other reasons. Then there are concepts like long time ago. Yes, again, on the relative level, it works to communicate like that. Again, if you contemplate, then it really doesn't mean much. So I'm giving you this as an example. So there are a lot of things that actually all of the things that we say or do or we construct, we have a certain logic, certain reason why it is like that. Like we just cannot anymore change the order of Sunday and Monday. Let's put Monday in the middle of Saturday and Sunday. We just can't do that anymore. Habitually, it's why should we? It's such a waste of energy. So time, space, all these, we have a certain reason and logic to prove that they exist. According to the Buddha, every reason we give to establish something exists or does not exist, in fact, proves that everything is an illusion. So this is why the ground or the base of all phenomena has no inherently existing entity. Like just like there's no such no ground, no solid, truly existing entity called the middle of the sky, the middle of the sky. Okay, let's translate this into something more practical. So you will want to ask questions like, okay, so all these, sort of philosophical, analysis. What's the point? What do I get out of this? And just about, I think on the first day, a lady asked about the vipassana, and I think this is the answer for you. So this is something that you can apply as a practice. This is exactly what those Burmese monks, such as the Sun Lun tradition, those who practice vipassana, that's what they do. Okay, so something like this. I will just make it very easy to understand. Okay, maybe for beginning 2-3 weeks, they will just look at the hand. Just look, just observe. They don't think in terms of good hand, bad hand, old hand, young hand, none of that. Just observe, just observe. What they are trying to do is they are trying to develop. Remember the middle of the sky? It's exactly the same. Hand, which one? So then after about maybe 4 or 5 weeks, actually I had some monks who, we have amazing discussions on how they go through all these stages. So then they begin to not really look at the hand as a unit, one unit. Then they begin to see the nails, the skin, the wrinkles, everything kind of separately. Like if you're a good carpet dealer, you can look at this carpet, they can already see the thread, the silk or not, whether it's mixed with the silk, pure silk or not, they can tell, right? Yeah, I think, so by the 10th, maybe 12th, 15th week, then they begin to see in parts. In parts, instead of like one unit. Like a forest, they don't see the forest, they only see trees. There is years and years, and in fact, lifetimes of habitual pattern that you also still have to deal with. And then some of them told me that sometimes they get really scared of even scratching their head, because usually when you scratch your head with your hand, right, just hand, one unit, but then they suddenly just can't help but, think, okay, a nail is just sliding on your skin. And then by I don't know, maybe in 6 months' time, many say that suddenly they develop a humor. They just feel so funny that we call this hand, we buy moisturizer, we wear gloves. It's just so funny we do these things. Then I'm sure they must laugh a lot when they look at pedicure, manicure shops. They highlight my word. They feel humorous and funny. This word is important because all of this doesn't mean that pedicure, manicure is like evil, temptation, bad, distraction. I didn't say that. I'm just saying it's so funny. It doesn't mean that after 1 year, you will not go to pedicure, manicure. In fact, you might go daily to pedicure, manicure, but different attitude. Different, like the virologist, I was talking about a different way of looking at things. They might even open a vipassana pedicure, manicure shop. The example I'm giving you is a very, very, just a very small. And just apply what I just told you, everything, to everything we look at in our life. Relationship, family, children, education, political system, just everything, Okay, the important question here is, where does the compassion fit in? it fits in so well because that itself is the compassion. It's not like a compassion that has a hierarchy. Oh, poor guy, he needs a little bit of help. It's like a hierarchical compassion. It's just such a amazing compassion because all those who goes to pedicure, manicure, that they're all looking at a unit, one unit. So basically, yes. So it's so related to your life. This is what we call when you are knowing these, when you are looking at your life this way, you are gradually awakening. It's really doable. Sometimes, we hear certain angle of teachings. I call these teachings the teachings that believes in no pain, no gain. And these teachings, yes, we do teach this sometimes because we human beings, again, love this kind of statement. No pain, no gain, no free lunch. Oh, wow, we have to work hard. We have to go to Harvard. We love these. So for them, Buddha teach like that. But Buddha also taught so many times, in fact, more. No pain, all gain. Actually, his name is Sugata. I mean, Sugata, if I translate it in a very, very, current atmosphere, I would say, no pain, all gain gone. But I know, even in here, yes, right, as I tell you, okay, no pain, all gain. There's something like this kind of teaching exists. And you are all like, okay, very good. But when it comes to practice, you will all opt for no pain, no gain. I know this is just human mind. So now the second liberation, by the way, three liberations are very related, right? Okay, so I'm basically quoting from Tsangpe Shubindo, the Brahma
Paripiksha Sutra.
Yeah. Okay, path is beyond sign, beyond characteristic. And I think we also talked about how we are bombarded with the signs, symbols. Yes, because we have so many symbols, so many steps, and all of that. Again, back to what I just earlier told you of how our habit just does not allow these characteristic less or sign less. But if you are looking at the design of the teaching, it's all geared towards, it all arrives to this characteristic less. It's all designed to destroy all the sign or symbol. All the methods of the Buddha are the method itself destroyed itself. Good example is sharpening knife or making fire. Sharpening knife, what happens? You use the whetstone and the metal, the knife, and what's happening is the whetstone gets exhausted, and then the iron also gets exhausted. Fire and wood, no wood, no fire, but a fire burn. It's very interesting, isn't it? A fire consumes the wood, and fire becomes bigger. So, yeah, so that's how it works, the path. So, like, okay, I'm sometimes coming back to Tantra because Nepal is so related to Tantra. There are more tantric stuff going on around the Buddha stupa than anywhere else sometimes. The statues, the prayer flags, just everything. Okay, so in the Tantra, okay, so somebody asked this question, so I'm answering this today. The concept or the symbolism of deity. Okay, so the ingredient of deity, what makes a deity? It's actually these three doors of liberation. What is mandala? It's the three doors of liberation. Now, deity also appear as the provider of the blessing. This actually works very well with the three doors of liberation because the highest blessing you should receive is to be free from obsession or the paranoia of duality. And that you receive from the three doors of liberation, okay? Now, you and I, as a human being, the moment we talk about something like a blessing, then we have all other elements such as longing for the blessing. And this different sort of sophistication of longing, we have different kinds of deity. Many of us, our longing is very, very primitive. So because we have this very primitive dualistic longing, let's say you want a wealth. You want a wealth, and that's about all blessing you want. You don't even know what three doors of liberations are. Which is fine. We are not rejecting this. So if you are longing for wealth is the driving force, then usually you will not go to a slim Manjushri. You will go to a plump Zambala. Yeah, have you been to Manjushri for the wealth? I don't think so. Most of the time, it's supposedly only good for wisdom. Or if your father died, you don't pray to Saraswati or Zambala, right? You pray to Amitabha or something. We human beings have already give job descriptions to the deities. So it depends. Okay, so now if you have a higher longing, the highest longing is basically longing for the bliss that is free from all the pain of duality. Then all these tantric deities, tantric deities, they are not outside. You are the deity, and each and every one of them are designed to crush different kinds of, dualistic hang-up. I have a lot of my friends like male friends who tell me, they don't want to practice, Tantra because they say, I'm a man and I can't visualize myself as a woman. You see, all this indicates they don't really understand Tantra. You are supposed to crush all these distinctions. Forget gender. Sometimes you are supposed to visualize yourself as animals, like a horse, like a pig. Like if you really, really want to seriously practice Manjushri, for instance, you have to visualize yourself as a turtle. And then, even if you want to go even more deeper, you are not even a turtle. You are just a letter D. And then, if you want to go even more, even the letter D is deconstructed. So, this is how the path as a characteristic less is taught. Okay. But on the more practical level, how do we apply this on our most practical for the, especially for the beginner? The classic Buddha's upaya, the method, is don't dwell on the past, don't dwell in the future. Because past is a language, past is a symbol, past is a characteristic, future also. This moment, yochid, is the closest thing that is beyond any of the characteristics. Now, when I say this, again, many of you may be fishing for some very exotic this moment. And I'm not saying any of this exotic this moment. When surely you are there, I'm here, you exist, sort of, I exist, sort of, you feel, you hear. To be just simply aware of this. Just to be aware of this moment. I mean, what a gift from the Buddha. I mean, look, this moment is actually the only thing you have. The past is gone, it's not never ever going to come back. The future is not yet here. The only thing that you have is this moment. I mean, for now, okay? Buddha is just saying, just appreciate this. This is, by the way, just one of the 100,000 other methods. I'm not saying that, I haven't told you, I'm not telling you that this moment is good, bad, flat, round, square. No signs, no symbols, no characteristics. And this is what you need to just, what do you call it? This is what you need to grab, hold, get acquainted with again and again. What it does is then it burns hope. It burns references. This is, for instance, like one of the most vicious challenge we have, especially in our modern life, is depression. I think, and one of the main ingredient of the depression is this fear that something terrible is going to happen, or that you are not worthy. All this comes from references, isn't it? Like the modernity, the problem of the modernity. I'm very sure the servant of the Alexander the Great never thought that, I can be like him. He's a human, I'm a human. I can try, I can be like him. So he was happy just bringing the grapes for Alexander the Great. But now we have a reference called equality. Everybody is equal, individual, Everybody is equal. Okay, now we can do this, do that, and it gives so much. And then when that doesn't work, something must be wrong, because the God we have already negated. We cannot blame God. I look good because I just went to South Korea.
I do good because
I look okay. I look as good as him because I just fixed myself in South Korea. How come she or he gets everything and I don't? All that. So many references I just went to, Tengboche, and, like urban life, Kathmandu, urban, that's a reference, right? If you are in the urban situation, it's embarrassing to sleep around 9 p.m. No matter what, you have to sleep like midnight because you have to sort of, you're an urban member, you have to sort of be awake till like at least midnight. Otherwise, you'll be laughed at. Yes. So, yes, now there will be really incredible different varieties of so-called depression, anxiety. All this is like coming, right? Okay. So, referencelessness, signless, characteristic-less is what we need to really at least contemplate a little bit, because that will liberate you a little bit. Okay, I'm going to just do the third one, and then I will let you, because there's been a lot of questions, so I will try to answer some of those. And then we will have the break. After break, there's been request of taking the refuge in the bodhisattva vow, which we will do. Those who don't want to take refuge in the bodhisattva vow, after the break, they can go home. But if you want to just stay here and just observe what these Buddhists are doing, you are very welcome. And then also there's a request of few transmissions of Kathmandu and stuff like that, all the Buddhist stuff. Okay. Okay, so the fruit, the result is beyond aspiration. Now, of course, again, Buddhists have so many aspirations. All these are like a contradictory, isn't it? This is where you need to really learn generally the Indian wisdom tradition, which is so much to do with the paradoxy. We say like, like Buddha said, I have no form. I mean, those who see me as a form, they have a wrong view. Yet we have so many Buddha statues. We talk about 32 major marks, so on and so forth. Here again, result beyond aspiration. Yet we have so many aspirations, and I personally would encourage you to do aspiration. At least aspiration, understand the three doors of liberation. Now, but why we talk about Debu Member Member? Why do we say this, that liberation is, the fruit is beyond aspiration? This statement can be explained in many different layers. I think begin with a very classic Buddhist example. Probably that will help you to understand. If you are having a nightmare, okay, you are sleeping in a very nice room, but you are having a nightmare, you are frantic. You really aspire to get out of that situation, okay? Just make note. You are just sleeping on a very nice bed. Whether you aspire to get out of that situation or not, you are already free, actually. And then, I don't know, somebody, because you are wailing and you are yelling, and maybe somebody just wake you up. And that somebody's act of waking you up, be it pinching you or, cold bucket of water, whatever, wake you up. It helped you release from that terrible situation. You might even thank this person for waking you up. Again, make note whether he pinch you or cold bucket of water or wake you up or not, the result, you are in that room, peacefully, comfortably there, you are never in that situation. This is an absolutely important to understand the word Buddha, awaken. Because many times we think that we are so, muddled here, so wrong, so bad, and then if we work so hard, one day we will be awakened. This is not really a Buddhist way of understanding the awaken. Okay, so broadly speaking, this is what we are talking here. Because if the Buddhahood or the state of the Buddha can be achieved through aspiration, then you are making the state of the Buddha compounded phenomena. Then your state of the Buddha will have expiry date. Then one day, after many eons of becoming Buddha, you will again go back all, from square A, right? Okay, so this is basically, what do you call it? Something that you need to know. Okay, and it is because of this, in the Tantra, they talk about how you are the deity. That's why, okay, and this is really, really important, okay. For instance, since we are going to do the refuge later, so let's talk about the refuge. So when we take refuge to Buddha, when we take refuge, you should take refuge to something that will not fail you. If there's a rain and you take refuge under the umbrella, but the umbrella has lots of holes, then it doesn't work, right? So whoever you are taking refuge should really be trustable, should give you the full service, so to speak. So this is why in the refuge, like when we say Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, when we talk about that, especially in the Mahayana, the only trustable, unfailing protector is the innate Buddha. That is your base. Let's say, okay, going back to our example, the nightmare. The bucket of water worked. And the real reason why it worked is because why it really worked is because you are actually in the room sleeping. If you are actually in the jungle with the spiders eating you, it doesn't matter what kind of bucket of water, it doesn't matter, you will still suffer. But because, I know you are going through all the agony, all the problem, but fundamentally you are there sleeping. So it gives you the hope. Yeah, so taking refuge to the Buddha is unfailing. This is basically the part of this, the third liberation I'm talking about. I think since they're related, I think I have talked about the three doors of liberation kind of briefly. Okay. Shall we do some questions and I think we'll do a little bit longer question and answer, and then we take the break, and then we do all the rest.
So Rinpoche will take some questions. So like yesterday, we have standing microphones on both sides of the room.
Okay.
Please keep your questions related to the teachings. Thank you.
Okay. Please.
Wait, the mic is off. Can you turn it on? It hasn't worked yet.
You want to do it there? Okay.
Tashidale Rinpoche. Rinpoche, I came with like 3 shawls, thermals, and I was just hoping that it doesn't rain. And I saw the look of Karma Chimpa. I came in shorts, and I
I'm
could
not-
like see and hear blasphemy, you know. So in my head, there is this constant contradiction, you know, like you're saying, look at the hand and then go beyond, you know, come here. Like, I mean, I was just thinking it'll be so nice to be in underwears here, just so comfortable, you know, like so present. And then I have to dress up, you know. But then I like this internal contradiction, you know. So, I mean, what you're saying is so succulent and so nice, you know, to chew on it. And then in my head, I'm going back to yesterday. You're like showing your thumb, you know? And I'm like, there are babies here, and I'm thinking, I want to nibble on your thumb, you know? But then yesterday I stepped out for water, and then there are all these people lined up, you know? There's so much bhakti and devotion. So my small question is, like, how can we imbibe this devotion with like renunciation or detachment? Like, how can I bring you in and keep you away? Or like keep you so far away? Like, you know, like go beyond, I don't know, aspiration, like you say. So that's my first question. And I had a confusion yesterday. You said, Baudhanath, there is this Vajra Yogini meeting, this beautiful, elegant Lama.
Okay.
So I'm thinking this outrageous Vajra Yogini is coming and wanting to meet this very elegant Lama. But why does she give up? Like, where is this outrageousness of outrageousness? She's suddenly like becoming so elegant and giving up. Why didn't she come back? You know?
Okay.
I hardly got what he said, but I'll try to
make it,
summarize.
yeah.
So the first question is how to imbibe devotion, right? And then renunciation, and then those kind of stuff. And then how to keep Rinpoche, how to kick out Rinpoche out of your life so that, you know, you are free from him.
Okay. Because we are talking about the devotion, it somehow reminded me to speak a little bit. Probably it's not really an answer for you, but nevertheless, I will speak. Okay, first, I don't know whether the Deva, devotion, is the right translation, but anyway, all the great masters of the past, they said the devotion is like a very noble wealth. It's not that easy to get. I always say this. When asked, Chandrakirti, to whom should we teach Shunyata? He never said to the Harvard graduates. He said, you know, the moment the word Shunyata is mentioned, you know, there's a goosebump and there's a tears in their eyes without any reason. These guys will understand the Shunyata. This is what he said. And let's talk about methodology, because this is a really important one. And I think this is something that I want to share this to the young Nepali. Basically, we are talking about upaya, right? Methodology. Among the available and the cherished methodology that we have is hearing, contemplation, and I guess analysis, critical thinking, I guess. And I guess, yes, of course, even Buddha himself really encouraged that. Sekje that we serjin to langwar chachir kuchirmin, those, you should analyze my teachings, so on and so forth. Especially in the beginning. But the most important methodology is feeling. And I think this is the part that modern people are losing this. And I'm not even talking about so-called emotional intelligence. It's far, far more than that. It's going to be difficult to convince the modern people to invest on that. Yes, this feeling, okay, call it devotion. Time and again in the Buddhist history, there has been a lot of demonstration through accounts of the life of different people. One of the greatest was Saraha. He was basically the dean of the Nalanda University. And Nalanda University, wow, if you want to talk about critical thinking, those guys are like the best. These guys were the ones who wrote about analyzing the Buddha and analyzing this and that, and everything is analyzed and deconstructed. But Saraha never felt enough. And one day, as he was walking around in the street, he saw this woman who makes arrow. I think daytime she makes arrow. Nighttime, I think she's sort of a courtesan. The moment he saw her, all the years of critical thinking, deconstructions just gone. And then he became her disciple. Just imagine the scandal. Saraha was, I think he was a monk. He was a prince. I mean, big scandal. These days, any university professors, even if they sort of chant some mantra, this mala they hide. Anyway, Saraha, the big figure for the Mahamudra lineage. Okay, short answer for you. You should long for this devotion. Yeah, that's it.
Reverence Rinpoche, just to save everybody's time, I'll just read out the question. As you referred that gender has no any significance place in Buddhism, to quote you, we should forget gender. But sadly, I studied.
Can you read it a little bit slowly?
Yeah.
As you referred that gender has no any place in Buddhism, just to quote you, you said that we should forget gender. But sadly, I studied human rights and gender justice, and I'm a human rights lawyer. So my cognizance and brain is shaped in that way that I always tend to scan gender balance, and I anticipate and aspire gender equality. I calculate gender whenever I have to make arguments. I count how many women and men speakers are there in an official forum and key positions. I analyze whether the panelist is a manalist or not. I see how many gender-friendly or disability-friendly structures are there, and so forth. I do this because I think that this is my virtue, and I also have a great reverence to the idea that gender is a very small entity in Buddhism. So how do I align myself with this idea, how do I align myself with this idea of the teaching that gender has no any place in Buddhism, and with my professional career and space? And also we talk about indiscriminate compassion in Buddhism, and fitting the compassion in every aspect of our life. But how do I develop genuine compassion to the people who look up to a woman as an object, who commodifies women, specifically, let's say, misogynists? How do I look up to the person who is convicted of rape and who is going through a trial? I always contemplate this when I'm delivering my professional duty. So that's it. Thank you. I think it was not too overwhelming.
Okay.
Can you reduce the echo? We are getting a lot of echo. Are you a Nepali?
What's it?
Also, please, could you summarize your question in Nepali as well?
Can you summarize this? Because I forgot.
May I? In
Sure,
Nepali,
please.
Rinpoche?
No, in
In English?
so that I can.
I think in Buddhism, as you mentioned, we don't have any distinction or place for gender or gender discrimination. So she works in this field, right? So
Yeah.
how can she really deal with this issue? You know, she's working with this kind of gender discrimination, and then she. मैले त खै तपाईँको question मेरो दिमागमा यसरी पनि गयो फेरि यो इको पनि आयो क्या. So I'm also not listening to be honest.
Okay, that's
She
good.
was-
That's good.
she was-
And then what?
So, and then how to really kind of combine compassion with this idea of gender discrimination. And then she has also question regarding the perpetrator of rape. And I lost the trail of what you
How do we
said.
develop? How do we develop compassion to the person who is convicted of
Yeah.
rape? Because I have been taught that to prevail justice, you know, to speak for the truth. But then again, Buddhism talks about indiscriminate compassion. So
Okay.
how do I develop this kind of compassion?
Okay,
Who's
Probably if you, whoever asks the question, if you can, you know, like remove your mask and talk, maybe I would understand better. My ears are anyway not that good. I already, you know. So also,
Okay.
we are getting a lot of
I'm
echo
sorry.
today, actually. So somehow, I don't know what happened.
Okay. I'm also a little bit vague here, but okay. So, I think there's this problem here. Unlike, see, I think we talked about that yesterday. Lot of what I call Abrahamic religion, such as Christianity, Islam, these religions are so associated with the social issues, and also a lot of morality, etc., based on the social, political. For me, Buddhism is a bit like mathematics or like biology. You know, for instance, that science. Okay, let's say it's like about talking about the truth. The core of the Buddhism I'm talking about. So it's a bit like question is, okay, how, okay, so let's say you are asking our mathematicians, okay, how do you mathematicians deal with the gender issues? Okay, so for instance, like, okay, Buddhism believes in anicca, dukkha, and anatta, you know, like impermanence,
Suffering.
suffering, okay, that's bad. Non-satisfaction maybe is
Non-satisfaction,
better. And then selflessness. It really doesn't really deal with it really doesn't, I don't know, it's about the fact of life. Okay, now there's a Buddhist.
You're saying
Buddhism and Buddhist, right? Human, culture, all kinds of hang-ups, you know. And then, you know, they each have their own cultural background, I guess. Okay? Okay, so you raise the question, compassion, and which is related here, I feel. So I'm going to answer all of it with that. Yeah. So the Buddhists talk about three compassion, right? I think when people talk about compassion, they are always talking about the first compassion that Buddhists talk about. So basically aiming at somebody who's really suffering. Even there, the Buddhist idea of compassion is quite grand. So I would say the victim of the rape and the rapist both are object of compassion. This is very well explained by Shantadeva. But this is not the only compassion Buddhists talk about. There's the other two compassions, which is far more sophisticated. One is, you know, like compassion to the beings that are subject to uncertainty. Basically, those who are all subject of cause and condition. Basically, what I'm saying is that for Buddhists, hungry, starving, kid in Africa is object of compassion, but Bill Gates is equally object of compassion because they are both subject of cause and condition. And then the non-dual compassion, now that's really grand. And we have been talking about that,
How about-
3 doors of liberation. Okay, now the practical, very practical answer for you. Let's say you are a Buddhist, and let's say you are an activist. It doesn't matter whether you are activist for gender issues, the environment, the political, whatever. And you should do everything what you can to get the justice done. But as a Buddhist, you have to discipline yourself thinking that how much is your activism based on some sort of a biased, narrow decisions that you made. Because that's really, really, it's very, very, that can happen. This is why I was reading an article just the other day that many times the human rights activists actually terrorize a lot of other people too. Because you see, we as a human beings are like this. We always end up using even Buddhism as a tool to terrorize. Okay, Tony.
Thank you.
Hi, Rinpoche. Okay, this is from Zoom. How can I be right now in the moment if even when I think about it, it is already history, is something that has already passed?
Okay.
It is our.
It's already a past.
It's already, yeah, right
The
now, this
history.
moment is already gone.
Looks like you are doing it. Carry on.
It's not me, Rinpoche.
Whoever.
Please keep your questions short. It's very difficult for
short.
me to understand. Also,
We will try to
translate it.
finish this.
It's a
Make it
torture, to
short.
be honest.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning, Rinpoche. So just 2 small questions. The first question, if you don't mind to share with us, that what the thing that you find you are most struggling with in your life. And the second, yesterday happened to be this Nepali Father's Day. So I want to ask a question about this relationship between father and child. So my question is, if you are a father, then you have either a boy or a daughter, how you possibly raise your child in the most healthy way than to help the healing this relationship between father and children, both materially and spiritually. Okay, thank you very much.
Can you repeat the first question?
The first question was, if you don't mind to share with all of us, then what the thing in your life you found is the most struggling with?
Okay.
What bothers me most, it keeps on changing all the time. At the moment, like this past maybe about 9 months, is all the mainstream medias. They bother me so much because I just see them as the biggest, most sophisticated liars. Now, if I have a children, this is a very important question. Okay. Actually, I don't know what I will do. I think I'll be terrible, actually. But, I'm running 3 schools for kids. And I was sharing with the teachers with these schools. Educating the kids is the worst thing that one can do. But we have no choice. But it's really, really, it's like from every level, it's the worst thing one can do. Feels like. I think some sort of a humility as a father, as a teacher, that what we are doing is not the best, but we have to do. I think that might save us a bit. Okay. Make it short, please.
So, Tashtegi Rinpoche and translator sir, we are from China. Can I speak Nepali? Is that fine?
Yes.
He's saying that media is a very powerful means to teach educate or convey something. So she's expecting that Rinpoche at some point would make a movie that would distinguish between physical love and spiritual love, and also teach us the emptiness of ourselves.
Thank you. You know, I really don't want to sort of claim that I'm making films so that I can teach people. It's a big risk. Also, I'm in certain area, I'm in a position where even I'm having a cup of tea, they say, oh, it's a teaching. Please, if there's anybody who wants to sort of take away my job sometimes, just for a week. But I think your aspiration is good. I will aspire to think about something. Okay, please.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay.
One more from Zoom. So we're going back to the Buddhist monk who was embraced by Vajrayogini. As a monk, how could he not push away a female who was going to embrace him? Just in case she was Vajrayogini, he might break his vow. So how to avoid to make such kind of mistake for this monk? If this monk did not push her away, what should he do then?
I think the story is trying to tell us how great he was a Vinaya practitioner, but the story is also telling us that how he can actually aspire to practice the Tantrayana, which is, well, from the tantric point of view, more important than the Sharvakayana. Okay? Yeah, whoever.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Rinpochela. I hope you're in good health. So my curiosity is primarily, what is my existence? I know, because I know I exist, my families do exist, and that is a thank God. So my worries and sorrows exist, and my happy moments, which are like immemorial and unforgettable, are also existing. And there are like beggars who are crying because of this hungry stomach. And in the other hands, the haves are accumulating like forever. So what is the illusion that Buddha has always tried to hint on us or teach us, which maybe so far I have not been able to understand? I mean, I pretty much agree the principle or the about the impermanence, because it is clearly and so good in a sight. But illusion, even though I try to contemplate, I do not have any forms. Like I'm sticking in this question, given that I am asking answers that Buddha roamed around ages to have, like the answers to it. So, but still, we are in real need of something relatable and connecting to practice today as modern day Buddhism. So, yes, I want to genuinely know the illusion, the principle and the thin line of illusion. So,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think Buddha never said it does not exist.
Buddha?
Never said it's not an existent. Not the four, it exists, non-existence, both, neither. Like a rainbow.
Really?
I think we discussed this. Okay?
Hazard.
Thank you for answering so many questions. My question is about the three doors of liberation. It seems like there's a lot of creative potential and like sort of boundless potential from a creative side, but the path itself often is like extremely formulaic, and the sort of creative expression gets sort of cut off when you enter this very formulaic path to that. Can you talk about this, how to bring creativity into the path?
Okay. It's a bit like a supply and demand. Formulaic coffee shops are really good. If you go to Starbucks, you are quite sure what kind of Americano you will get. But now, if you want to be more daring, maybe there's a boutique coffee shop. Apparently, they serve coffee with chili. Now, this is what you need to be a little bit of daring to go there. Okay?
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. As we're talking about how science and intellectual thinking tend to bring more distortion to our perception of reality, a very interesting comparison came up to me, like take an example of a fish. It has a simpler mind than us, I assume. So there will be less science or like rational thinking, but that also doesn't necessarily mean that he perceived the world more correctly than us, right? And also like seems to me that the rational part is also very important Tibetan Buddhism, like for example, debate. So I was thinking to what extent or specifically what kind of absence of science or rational thinking are we looking for, and also what aspects are good that we should keep to practice to help us
I
practice
see.
Dharma.
Okay. So basically, what amount of rationalism we should keep? This is quite a big question. You should study Brahmana Buddhist epistemology. Okay. So, in order to validate something, we usually use a direct cognition or inferential logic. But the direct cognition is a problem because a lot of the time, direct cognitions are very subjective. Okay, so this is why in the Brahmana, the yogic cognition is considered the best. Okay, you want to ask?
Hello, sir. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Father's Day. Sir, you seem like quite a confident person, huh? So I was wondering if this is the case. If this is the case, where did this beautiful confidence come from?
Oh, thank you.
But
I will tell you, I will just quote Shantadeva. I will sort of, what do you call it, alter it a little bit to answer your question. If you see me as confident, then that must mean that you are confident.
यदि तपाईले मलाई
Tashidele Rinpoche. Read a translation that Buddha said, in all things there is neither male nor female. So should translators honor that by using maybe they, them pronouns in their translations? And are there any texts or sutras that kind of regard or relate to this idea of forgetting gender? Thank you.
I think there are actually quite a few of them. Your suggestion is really good. Okay?
I think you got it.
I didn't understand.
So no, sir. I'm just kidding. So he said there are a lot of Niblis here who are devoted to you, and for us, he doesn't understand English, and the Tibetan language is just like mother for them. So he aspires that Rinpoche would really have a lot of programs in Nepal to teach the local people here in Nepal. So that's his request actually.
I'll pray that I'll be useful.
Namaste Rinpoche. So the past 2 days you taught us about how culture hijacks Dharma, and the teaching of Buddha, what is essential to Buddhism is actually the Dharma and attainment of awakening. But a lot of people who are Buddhist are not so because they practice the Dharma or because they seek awakening, but because they are born into a Buddhist family or mostly because of the cultural aspect of Buddhism. So what do we make of this, Rinpoche? Thank you.
I think that cultural Buddhism is very, very important. Cultural the Buddhists who are born in the Buddhist culture. Yes, probably they don't know full picture of Buddhadharma. I think we should try to sort of facilitate them. But the culture, let's call it Buddhist culture, whatever, the Himalayan culture is so important because, this will, we already have so much identity crisis. Okay, I'll give you a good example. When I was young, my parents called me Lepo. It means idiot. And I've realized that in Nepal you also have parents give children name Lata, Lati. In about 50 years' time, when all these New York dwelling Nepalis, when they come back, and if you call your children Lata, Lati, they might end up suing you. It's a child abuse and all of that. So there are a lot of these cultural nuances that can be, that are, I don't know, whether they are precious or something. There's that, but they're quite important, I think. Okay. Did you want to talk? Okay. Yes, please, the lady.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. I really appreciate your Q&A session a lot. I wish we will always have this precious chance to be able to effectively and genuinely ask questions to you and also get answers from you. And here I will ask 2 questions. I'll try to make them short. The first one is, when I visualize a deity in front of me, to whom I need to develop a very intimate, genuine trust and love and devotion, I don't know what kind of mindset I should have. I don't know whether this deity is someone abiding in somewhere, or if he's my own reality, or if this image in front of me is just my own mental fabrication. I'm very confused about that. This is my first question. Yeah.
Fundamentally, it's none other than yourself, the deity, never outside. Okay? The second question?
Thank you. The second question is, for example, if we visualize Sharia Kang, celestial palace, the 4 gates in general indicates the 4 qualities, like 4 immerables. So my question is, do the 4 gates actually appear in a Nirmanakaya level or not? If they manifest, how can they naturally in union with quality? Yeah.
Okay. You are asking quite a complicated question. Tantra is really, it's infinite. I mean, there's 4 doors, there's 1 door, sometimes there's no door. And sometimes the deities, even the deity, sometimes there's a central principal deity, like the king or the queen, and then there's the entourage. But sometimes, suddenly, an entourage becomes the master, and the lord or the lady becomes the entourage. All these are basically to deconstruct our habitual patterns, habitual hang-ups such as the lord, the servant, outside of the mansion or the inside of the mansion. So, depending on what text you are talking about, it differs. For instance, like a Kala Chakra Tantra, one of the deities' name is the deity that wants to yawn. His consort is his consort. He's embraced. He is in union with his consort. She hates yawning. So it's like that. It's just. But please pursue Tantra. It's a wisdom. If Tantra dies, then there's no ornament in the world. Okay, so we take a break.